Hey there, high achievers! Welcome back to Unwind the Grind YouTube channel, the place to discover and build a happy, meaningful career that is aligned to who you are and what you have to offer. Today's video is dedicated to all you extremely hardworking people that put in long hours, sacrifice vacation, never miss a day of work, and give everything you've got to do your jobs well, but are ignored when it comes to promotions. This is something I hear from my clients all the time. People putting in their blood, sweat, and tears being ignored and favoritism prevailing. People that know people going up the ladder instead of those that had merit. Now, of course, this is a rather toxic facet of the corporate world, but at the end of the day, it truly depicts human nature. People's impression of other people can seriously affect their decision making. Not to say they think you're a bad person, but someone else is just better at conveying their value than you are. Management consultant Harvey Coleman introduced the PI concept in his book, Empowering Yourself, the Organizational Game Revealed. This aims at enabling professionals to understand how different factors play a role in getting employees up the ladder, and there's no surprise that performance alone isn't a very big factor. So what is PI? PI stands for Performance, Image, and Exposure, which according to Coleman are the three main factors in any promotion. He assigns performance a weightage of only 10%, while image stands at 30% and exposure has the highest influence at an eye-popping 60%. This may sound bizarre to a lot of people. I was certainly quite taken aback by it when I first read it, but when you look at ground realities, it makes a lot of sense. Now, before I get into how the PI model works and how you can get promoted, I want to point out not all jobs are worth fighting for. If you know the workplace culture is so toxic and broken that nothing can fix it, or if what the company does no longer aligns with you, then you need to reassess whether it's even worth putting up a fight for this workplace. It will just make you more frustrated and agitated, and no job is worth losing your well-being, as I always say. So if this is the case, it's time to ditch and find a new job. If you're worried about how you're going to find one, I've got you covered. Check out my course Job Search Toolkit, a comprehensive guide that takes you through the A to Z of job search and guarantees results. It's online and self-paced. Go check it out in the link down below. If your management appreciates hard work, but somehow seems to forget you when promotion time comes, you need to take charge of the situation, and now we're going to discuss exactly that. Performance is often described as the entry ticket for career success. If you don't have it, you're not even in the game. Great and consistent performance sets the base for image and exposure, but by itself, it's not quite enough to drive career aspirations. It is your reputation builder and the common denominator in the promotion process, but don't mistake that for meaning it's not important. It is. It's just that when you work in a fast-paced, top-notch industry among smart, dedicated people, it's highly likely that everybody else is also performing well. So as you start climbing the top of the ladder to reach the management level, everybody's really smart. Everybody has a lot of education, so you can no longer compete on that basis. Now the basis of competition becomes how do you differentiate yourself? How do you become a professional among professionals but show up differently? Image is what other people think of you, your personal brand. Do you maintain a positive attitude? Do you lead with solutions to issues, or are you the person that solely offers roadblocks when others suggest changes or alternatives? Your image is the message you send before you speak, whether intentional or not. It is the mental impression that others have about you. Since it is their first impression of you, it affects how others relate to you. If your name pops up in a conversation, what do people say about you? This is your image. It's also an aggregation of the impact that you have on the careers of others, on driving business results, and on your broader community. It's not whether you can do your job, it's what separates you from all of the other professionals in your company. So I'm going to share with you a simple fun exercise through which you can find out where your image stands as of now. So here's what you're going to do. First, you will list 5 adjectives that describe your image from your own point of view. Then you're going to ask your immediate manager, colleagues, team members, reportees, mentor, sponsor, coach, anyone who works with you closely to do the same. And finally, you will compare and contrast the lists. What did you learn? Were the lists similar, different, mixed? Were the adjectives described how you envisioned yourself? Was there something missing, something that would be important to you? You need to assess your brand quite often and to keep improving on it, especially if the feedback you're getting is different from the you that you want to portray. So at this point, questions to ask yourself to start defining the image you'd want people to have of you are: what is the kind of image you want to have? Where do you stand currently versus that image based on the perception of key stakeholders? And how can you get closer to the image you want to portray? What are your skills and skill gaps? What experiences have you had and how have they shaped you? What are your beliefs and values? Are your values consistent with your company values? What is your definition of success? Is your image consistent with your definition of you? Finally, exposure. Exposure is who knows you and who has seen you in action and can speak on your behalf when you're not in the room and decisions need to be made around who gets a shot at the next job. Exposure is the largest area of focus with a full 60% of the pie. This is because your personal brand image only carries weight if others know about it. Exposure is the engine for performance and image. It acknowledges performance and enables image. It's very critical to gaining broad sponsorship and support in your career. Now, I have another cool exercise to get you started on identifying the people who can act as catalysts for your exposure. So what you're going to do is create a list of people that know you in your workplace. You're going to place an X next to each name if that person is powerful or influential enough to enhance your credibility by linking you to theirs, strongly influence you getting a competitive next assignment, create broad visibility for you with key leaders in your organization, or connect you to their power network. And there you have a list of people who can enhance your exposure. And I want you on a weekly basis, as you plan your work, to ask yourself these exposure related questions. How many high profile visible projects are you working on? How often are you writing summaries or technical reports? How often do you attend and speak up in top management meetings? How often are you requesting one-on-ones to share progress, learning, perspective? How healthy are your mentoring relationships? Do you even have one to begin with? How often do you get to know others on a personal level, even when it's not comfortable? How often are you willing to lend a helping hand? How often are you involved in volunteering drives? Within organizations, there are always opportunities to volunteer to do things beyond your core job. A lot of these roles have the added benefit of giving you access to people you ordinarily wouldn't have access to. You can choose volunteer roles that you're excited about and have a passion for, and then see how they allow you to network without feeling like you're networking. In order to run initiatives, you would need to meet with leaders from different operating companies or present to a room full of people. Remember that it's not just internal exposure within your company, but also external exposure within the larger industry and community that's key. It's in your hands to carve out time for external volunteering projects, events, associations, board meetings, so on and so forth. You will see how it will create a ton of opportunities for you, even for your next job. Finally, understand your corporate rules of engagement. Get to know your organization's corporate culture and figure out how the pieces of the pie are weighted within your organization. Have conversations with experienced colleagues and mentors early on in your career to learn what's important in your organization and come up with a plan, a formula that works for you. Allowing for fluidity and flexibility in your pie is absolutely important. While you should always be aware of all three pieces of the pie, their importance to your career does shift over time. When starting out in your career, it's probably 90% performance. There's got to be something there to create an image around, right? Then as you advance, it's important to be thoughtful in the types of experiences you build in order to begin also building those points of differentiation that will create your image. Once you've created those points of differentiation that become your image, that's when I think you've earned the right, if you will, to get in front of those people and organizations that give you the platform to share that image broadly. At that point, exposure is 60% of the pie. Confidence talks. You have to know your real worth to the company. Then you have to show confidence in your own ability to deliver on that value. If you're not confident in your own power to deliver for your company at the next level, it won't matter how long you've been there and how hard you've worked. You simply won't get noticed or promoted. The first person that needs to be completely convinced of being worthy of promotion and a lot more money is yourself. If you're not, we need to have a chat. Popping the link to a complimentary consultation below. Feel free to reach out. Comment below and let me know how your personal pie is looking in terms of the focus you give to each element, the weight you assign to it, and how well has it worked for you to get ahead in your career.